friend, Jessie Maynard. It's her 39th birthday. She asked me to come out and do some stand-up comedy. I'm new to comedy. So one of the aspects about being a single mom and a small business owner, it's really hard to find the time to write material. So I actually workshopped, or I actually asked a comedian to help me workshop tonight's jokes. And apparently workshopping means, in today's world, making out for an hour and telling me I'm hilarious. So, I'm feeling very confident. So I can tell you a little bit about myself. I'm from Huntington. I'm from West Virginia. And I've had many adventures throughout the world. I went to school in New York City, and I actually tried to be a stand-up comedian at the Upright Citizens Brigade Theater. I worked there for about 2 years. Apparently, it didn't work out because I'm just not that funny. I wish that was a joke. Sadly, it's not. So comedy wasn't paying the bills when I was in New York, so I took a stint as working in the internet advertising industry. I actually worked with the guy who invented the pop-up. Isn't that kind of interesting? Yeah. And as you may suspect, his soul was corrupted with evil. I actually, at one point after working there, it was a really rewarding career except for our interactions. I tried to exorcise the taint out of his soul, being the good Christian girl that I am. Unfortunately, I just got confused about corruption and the perineum. So it just led to a sexual harassment allegation, and I had to retire. After that, I decided to travel the world. I went to South Korea to teach English to little children. I thought that would be a fantastic, segue in the life journey. And I remember my first night in Korea. I'm in my new apartment in a totally foreign country, and the bedroom window is open, and I hear 20,000 Koreans singing Country Roads from a stadium a few blocks away. It was magical, unbelievable. What was equally unbelievable is when they started singing Achy Breaky Heart. I don't know why I was surprised. I wasn't in the south of Korea's. Big country music fans over there. Being in Korea, that's when I learned that West Virginia English is not the same as American English. So things like the little Korean children would be so confused when I would say things like y'all, or let's go check out the crick, or gosh, I wish there was a Tudor's Biscuits. We don't have Tudor's over in Korea, alas. No, I really enjoyed my time overseas, and I spent about 5 years traveling throughout Asia, South Korea, China, Thailand. I would have continued with it, traveling, working, teaching young children, if I had not visited the United States, and 100% true, gotten knocked up on a blind date. Technically, it was like my anchor baby in reverse. And she's wonderful. I love my children. They're fantastic. I love the humans that they're becoming. However, after they're 6 and 7 years old, after this long as a stay-at-home mom, I'm kind of sick of it. Being a stay-at-home mom is sort of like being in solitary confinement with a really needy, constantly talking, small human, which ironically is how a lot of my ex-boyfriends describe me. It's true. So I've been moonlighting as a stand-up comedian. This is totally new for me. I'm enjoying it. I spend most of my day being very reserved and focused on the children. I actually own a daycare in Huntington. It's called So Social. And just as the name suggests, we practice an early education philosophy grounded in crunchy granola mom tears and panic attacks. We believe in cloth diapering for the environment, breastfeeding for bonding and immune support, and we're clothing optional for the 4-year-olds, not the staff. I'm a moderate.
I've worked there, I know.
And it's true. After we close, go the clothes. Let's see. So it's hard being a single mom and dating. I do date a lot. I'm an overachiever. So one of the things I've figured out I do a lot of online dating. And I must say, if you're looking for lasting love, I can't recommend the online dating services, whether it's OkCupid or Match.com and Harmony. Now, if you're looking for a baby, I can totally recommend that. 10 out of 10. Well, technically it was just 1 out of 1. That's all it takes, but because I got knocked up on a blind date on OkCupid, but whatever. Anyway, I'm not bitter at all. Anyway, so I've been doing I do a lot of dating, and still to this day. And I don't know about you guys, but part of the online dating process is you just start chatting with somebody, you're texting back and forth, and you go from the app to eventually, do you give them your actual cell phone number? And at that point, they text you, and you have to save them into your phone. But you haven't met them, so how do you save their information into the phone so that, let's be honest, so that you can figure out who you're actually talking to? And it's important to regulate. What have I said to this guy? What have I said to that guy? Keep the banter rolling. So I'll name them. I'll be perfectly honest. I name them by what our conversations are about and their geographical location. So it'll be like James in recovery from Huntington. It's true. Or Luke Breaking Bad, Kentucky. He was really into that television show. Or Brandon, the unicorn from Taze Valley. So Brandon Unicorn, Taze Valley. And the thing about Brandon is that as the unicorn, regardless of how much I believed in him, he was this mythical creature who never showed up. It's true. I like to base my comedy in reality and truth. They say that the best comedy is based in truth. And unfortunately, it's also the most painful of comedy. Recently, I broke up. I had a breakup in July, and it really devastated me. And I started smoking cigarettes again, which I wouldn't recommend picking that up at 42. That's a horrible habit to pick up. Why would some people do yoga, some people jog. I was no, I'm going to deal with this breakup. I'm going to start smoking cigarettes. What a phenomenal concept. Well, you got to fill in missing pieces somewhere. So one of the positives is that smoking cigarettes. I call it the cigarette diet. It curbs your appetite. So one day I'm sitting out there and I'm smoking a cigarette, and I didn't have a drink. Somebody likes coffee with their cigarettes, or a soda, or maybe an alcoholic beverage. I didn't have any of those things. I had a glass of milk. And what I realized is that if I drink the glass of milk and follow it with a cigarette, it's very, very satisfying. It's the equivalent of adult nursing. highly recommend it. I work with a lot. I work with a lot of moms, and it's true. Again, it's true. So that's fantastic. You know, I do have I have two children. I have a 6-year-old and a 7-year-old, and I'll switch the topic. Children are fantastic. I love them. Halloween. We recently had a Halloween experience, right? And Halloween was canceled due to weather. Trick or treat was canceled due to weather, which was horrible for me. It was like this ongoing nightmare. One of the fantastic things that in our community they offer are safe trick-or-treats. I don't know if you've been to one. They'll have them at the Civic Center or at Safety Town or at the mall, and thousands of children will descend upon these organizations and beg for the only calories that they're going to ingest this winter. It's just abject poverty, stricken children, and their absolutely neglectful parents, which is why I was there. Begging for candy from all of these businesses. And it reminded me of something like Battle Royale. Going to the Civic Arena, going up to these booths. We were queuing up in line, and parents were they were fighting for their place in line, who could be first, and you could feel the tension. It was just growing, and then the nerve of one of these parents, they were actually vaping like right onto my children, and they're just blowing these billows of smoke, water vapor onto my kids, and I was just getting so frustrated with it. And what was really crazy is when all of the vaping fog filled the middle of the arena, and suddenly these two children in Minecraft costumes came out with their foam swords and started battling to the death right in the middle to see who could get the full-size candy bar from the Necco foster agency table. It was nuts. It was like, this is like Battle Royale. It's terrifying. And it's supposed to be a safe trick-or-treat. What I want to know is, what is an unsafe trick-or-treat like? Like, how metal does that have to be? Is it like Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome metal? Like, you dress up your kids in like leather armor with spikes coming off their shoulders. They go begging for clean water, door to door, digging through the rubble of burned out homes that once stood for a society of hope, looking for a Laffy Taffy. I mean, that's what trick-or-treating in the West End of Huntington's like anyway.
Yeah.
That's where we go. They have the best water.
No.
I think that's it. Oh, wait. I've got a couple more. Like 3 more. These are, I'm in the process. Some workshop material. Okay, Christmas time. My daughter has never believed in Christmas. She's 7 years old now. Even as a 2-year-old and 3-year-old, she was just like, "You're Santa Claus, Mama. You're Santa Claus. There's no way. There's not some fat man coming down a chimney, etc." And being the crunchy granola mom that I am, I could not look at her sweet, sweet face and lie to her. Like, that just seems fundamentally wrong. I can't lie to my daughter about some, pagan-based Christian appropriated holiday. Now, when my daughter asked me how old she could be before she could have a boyfriend, and I said 21, I had no problem with that whatsoever. And she believes me.
Good.
It's true. One of the, that was it. I've recently started therapy again. Thank God. Woo! Oh, I love it. Thank you guys. You guys are so fantastic. This is the best crowd of 6 I've had in a long time. Thank you. God bless you. So I was in therapy this past Saturday, and I was in the middle of a really intense moment. I mean, I was just like tears and like coming to this huge conclusion that I was like, oh yeah, this is what's been going on, oh my God. And that's when the Huntington Christmas parade started going by. I mean, it's true. And it was just this big band marshal, like jingle bells, jingle bells. It's interesting. Music really sets the tone of any cathartic moment. So that was a good time. Gotta work on that one a little bit. What else happened? I feel like there's another joke that I want to try. Oh, okay. This is not about the children. I've got like 3 good Christmas jokes I've got to work on, and this one's not any of them. So, as mentioned, I like to date, and I just thought this was hilarious. I was out on a date with a gentleman the other night, and we were naked. We've been fooling around, and things are about to become very serious. And he looks at me and he says, "Hey, do you want to role play?" And I'm thinking, okay, sexy maid, European stewardess, I don't know, something like that. Well, I'm a Dungeons and Dragons player, and so is he. And so he says, no, let's put my bits up against your bits, and then let's roll for initiative. It's true. It really happened. So I was like, okay. So I won the initiative. That means I had the best roll on the dice. And so after you take initiative in Dungeons and Dragons, then it's usually you get to choose what your action is going to be. So maybe you would, draw your dagger or attempt to steal something, whatever the scenario is in Dungeons and Dragons. But on the dice roll, if you roll a 1, it's considered a fumble. That means you'll fail whatever your attempt is. And a 20 is considered an automatic success. It's called a natural 20. So before I choose my action in our naked role-playing session, with his bits up against my bits, I wanted to clarify what the stakes were. So I say, if I fumble, if I roll a 1, what happens? He says, anal. I was like, oh God. Those are some stakes. It's like, well, what if I roll a natural 20? What happens? He goes, anal. So that's when I chose to end the game.
Good choice.
Thank you all so much. I'm Tia. Thank you, Jessie.